Hi, so my project is relationships between irritability and ventromedial prefrontal cortex, nucleus accumbens, and basolateral amygdala structural volumes and structural connectivity in post-traumatic stress disorder. So just some background on irritability. Irritability has become a subject of increasing attention among researchers in the recent decades. Irritability is characterized by a reduced threshold for responses involving anger and aggression, and it's a risk factor for a series of phenomena, including functional disabilities, suicide, relationship problems, etc., and can significantly affect and impair the functional and social aspects of a person's life. So irritability is interesting in that it often isn't studied in isolation. It's usually studied in the context of other diagnostic groups. So PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder is one of such groups. PTSD is a psychiatric illness characterized by cognitive affective dysfunction due to exposure to trauma, and it presents with a broad range of symptoms, including flashbacks, fear, avoidance of trauma-related triggers, as well as irritability specifically as a symptom. Okay, so in addition to their clinical overlap, irritability and PTSD also have significant neurobiological overlap. So as imaged in this graphic, you can see just how many brain regions have been shown to either functionally or structurally associate with both irritability and PTSD. Now, among those brain regions, I chose to specifically focus on the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, basolateral amygdala, and nucleus accumbens for my thesis. The VMPFC and the BLA have both been shown to play important roles in the fear learning network, and they've also been shown to structurally associate with irritability and or PTSD. And then next, the nucleus accumbens or the NAC is significantly related to motivation, reward processing, and has been shown to functionally associate with irritability and PTSD. So in addition to looking at those brain regions specifically for my thesis, I also thought it would be interesting to look at their connective structures. So for my thesis, I looked at specifically the accumbofrontal tract connecting the VMPFC and the NAC. Okay, so my overall study aims were to one, analyze the relationship between VMPFC, BLA, and NAC structural volumes in irritability and PTSD, and two, to reconstruct the accumbofrontal tract to assess its relationship with irritability and PTSD. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about my results. So first, starting with irritability and PTSD, as expected, looking at this diagnostic group comparison, we could see that there were higher irritability scores in the PTSD group compared to the healthy control group. My other finding was that among individuals with PTSD, there was no association between PCL score, or this is a PTSD symptom severity score, and IRQ or irritability scores. So this seemed to suggest that once an individual has PTSD, PTSD symptom severity does not correlate with irritability score severity. Okay, so the accumbofrontal tract reconstruction is imaged here. Overall, the reconstructions were successful following a couple of tweaks among all subjects. Okay, so I did not find a significant relationship, however, between accumbofrontal FA, PTSD, and irritability. So basically, the accumbofrontal tract did not seem to associate with either phenomena. As imaged here, we can see that the FA values are not different between the healthy control or PTSD group for either hemisphere. These plots show data across all participants associating irritability scores with FA values, and once again, you can see that there's no significant correlation. And these plots were within the PTSD diagnostic group specifically, and once again, there's no relationship between irritability scores and accumbofrontal tract integrity for either hemisphere. Okay, irritability and left BLA structure volume. I did end up finding a significant relationship between irritability scores and left BLA volume. I found a direct relationship, and this was both within the PTSD diagnostic group and across all participants. So some conclusions. First, the results did not suggest that accumbofrontal tract white matter integrity correlates with irritability and PTSD, as we saw. And next, the findings also highlight variability in the relationship between irritability and BLA structure volume, because while I found a direct correlation between the two with increasing irritability associating with increased BLA structural volume, this actually contradicts existing literature that suggests the opposite. So continued follow-up studies are necessary to look further into this relationship. And that concludes my presentation. Thanks so much, and here are my references.